Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Books and Beers. This week we have a very special book. It's actually the second book in the Sapiens trilogy. If you haven't seen the Sapiens review, you can check it out down in the description. I'm actually talking about Homo Deus. So Sapiens was more about the past, everything to do with the past. Homo Deus talks a little bit about the past, but goes further into the future and what the future could hold for humankind, for science, for evolution, and for many other things. The three books were written by Yuval Noah Harari, which is a great historian from Israel. He has a PhD in Oxford. I love his style of writing. He covers every single point that you can think of, every counter argument. But before we dive into the book, I want to set up the beer. If you saw the Sapiens episode, we reviewed a beer from the oldest brewery in the world. They started in 1040 in a monastery. Here we have it. It's the Weihenstephaner. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. The Weihenstephaner. But this time we have the Bavarian styles. This is the only cup I have, so I apologize for my lack of cups in the house. Some data about the beer. It's actually Beer Advocates number 18 top beer on planet Earth, so we have a big one in our hands. I actually didn't like the first one that much. I ranked it as a 2.8. It's fruity, it has banana and clove, so we'll see how it goes. All the way from Germany, oldest brewery in the world. So like I mentioned, the book is divided into three parts. The first part is called The Homo Sapiens Conquer the World, and it's basically that we humans conquer the world because we conquered famine. People 500 years ago would die from lack of food, lack of substance, and now we have it controlled. It's not perfect, obviously. There's people all around the world that need food, that don't have access to food, clean water, but we've more or less controlled that. War, we haven't had a war in 60 years. It's been, obviously we've had little disputes here and there, little wars, but we haven't had a world war, haven't had a colonization in hundreds of years. So we've been able to like reach a peace that it wasn't possible before. And the last one that he mentioned, wait for it, it's plague. So funny enough, he wrote that we conquered plagues. Now we have a plague, we know how to control it. And you could argue that with COVID, it wasn't well controlled, it wasn't handled appropriately, we weren't ready. But at the end of the day, within a year, we have a vaccine, which is unheard of. It's the fastest vaccine ever to hit the market. So at the end of the day, you could say that, yeah, the humans conquered the world, they conquered plague. A plague came up, and within a year, we had a solution for it. Hopefully, it's a solution. Hopefully, we can get out of this mess soon enough. But yeah, those are the three things that he mentions that humans have conquered, and by doing that, they've conquered the world and they've become the top animal in the world. So the second part is that Homo sapiens give meaning to the world. It mainly talks about the points of imagined realities, how humans can create fictions such as religion, politics, how humans were able to find out about science, develop science. And this is why humans rose to the top and they gave meaning to the world through the fictions of money. Because if you think about it, money is not a thing. Like a monkey sees money, he doesn't see something that has value, he just sees a piece of paper. Money has value because humans created a fiction in their minds that we all believe that a dollar has value, so the dollar, the piece of paper, actually has value. He talks about the humanist revolution, which is where we are now, basically, which is that everything revolves around humankind and around humans. So again, nothing much to say here. There's a lot of talk about economy, politics, religion, much like in Sapiens. It can get a little bit repetitive. I give it a 3.52 to this part because I remember thinking that the first two parts are very overlapping with Sapiens. So if you haven't read Sapiens and you read this book, it's all going to be new to you and it's going to be fascinating. But if you read Sapiens, the first two parts might be a bit overlapping. So maybe you could skip them, maybe you can just skim over them, but that's just my personal opinion. And finally, this is, in my opinion, the most fascinating part. Maybe even like if you combine Sapiens and Homo Deus, because it talks about the future. The title of this part is called Homo Sapiens Lose Control. In trying to find meaning in things, in trying to create more things. I'm wearing, I don't know if you guys can see, like a space shirt. Elon Musk is trying to find meaning by going to space, by going further and exploring more. We might be able to solve every single disease if you can pay for it. So we might only be able to die if we get hit by a car or by some freak accident. And with AI and all these developments that are coming, Elon Musk touched on another point, which is that humans are already becoming cyborgs. We have a phone, we have an Apple Watch, we have AirPods, we can say hey Siri and do whatever and find any information. We might have implants in our body that makes us think better, solve emotional problems. If you have an emotional problem, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling stressed, you can have like some chemical that goes into your brain and fix it for you. And we might have the first artificial evolution. Humans just become better through science, not through nature, not through natural selection. And then you're gonna have both classes, the Homo Deus, the people that can afford all the luxuries, being immortal, the implants in your brain, in your body to become a better human. And then the Homo sapiens, which is the people that are just going to be the normal people that can't afford all those luxuries. And what he says is, what if the Homo Deus eventually make the Homo sapiens go extinct? Because they start dying, the Homo Deus live forever. And then what if in the future, in 300, 400 years from now, maybe the computers become so complex that they start taking over the human brain, and then there's no more human brain, there's no more human emotion, there's no more human connection. It's all through a computer and an implant in your brain. In my opinion, this was the best part of the book. If you want to check out this book only for this part, I truly recommend it. It's fascinating. I'd give this part like a 4.6, and it makes you excited but at the same time scared about the future. Sapiens, I gave a 4.7. I think it's one of the highest rated books in the channel, and it was an amazing book. It makes you think a lot, and I think this book is great too. The only problem is that the first two parts are repetitive if you've read Sapiens, so I think this book is a read. However, I'm not gonna rate it as high as Sapiens. I'm gonna give it a 3.9. And as for the beer, I rated the other kind of Stefaner at 2.8. This one, it's definitely better. It has a lot more taste. The last one didn't have any taste at all. This one is very fruity. I don't love fruit in my beer, but it has a lot of taste. I'm gonna give it a 4.0 because I'm sure it's a great beer. I just don't appreciate the fruitiness, but I'm sure a lot of people do. Definitely recommend it. So if you like this video, you enjoyed, drop a like, subscribe. Falcon will see you guys next week for another review. Peace.